Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to start our next presentation with Jeffery Christians. He's a graduate student in Dr. Kamat's lab in chemical engineering, and his presentation is called Painting the Future, Bringing Solar Power to the People.
All right, thank you. So I wanted to share with you today a cool project that actually, unfortunately, I can't take any of the credit for. This is actually a project that was done in our lab by undergraduates. So for those of you undergraduates, just kind of to show you that you don't need to be a graduate student to do really cool, really influential research. So the question that I wanted to start with is this question here. What if harvesting energy from the sun could be as simple as a coat of paint? And I'm going to start in the early 2000s. Professor Richard Smalley, a Nobel laureate at Rice University, saw all these top 10 lists, and everybody makes a top 10 of this, top 10 of that. Well, he asked, what are the top 10 problems facing humanity over the next 50 years? What should we be working on? And he asked a bunch of his colleagues and a wide range of people, and this is the list that they came up with. Number 10, population, democracy, education, disease, terrorism and war, poverty, environment, food, water, and then the number one most important problem facing humanity over the next 50 years, energy. And when he was asked about this, the reason that Dr. Smalley gave for why energy was, in his opinion, the biggest problem facing humanity was because if we can solve energy, if we can have abundant, affordable, clean energy, every other problem on this list becomes solvable. We have already taken just a huge step towards all of these other problems. So if we can have a source of energy, a way to produce energy that's cost effective, that will be a great advance for the next 50 years. So currently, our world as a whole, we have what I call an energy addiction. So in 2008, every person on the world used the equivalent of 20 100-watt light bulbs turned on every minute of every day, every hour, 365 days a year, 20 light bulbs. In 2050, that will double. By 2100, we'll be using 60 light bulbs every day, every person, 24 hours, 365 days a year. So we're going to have this huge increasing demand for energy. And because of global warming, the question is, how can we get that energy from some source other than fossil fuels? How can we become carbon-free? So the Department of Energy asked this question, and they asked, so the need that they projected is about 15 terawatts of new energy by the year 2050. So they looked at several different renewable technologies. Where is that energy going to be coming from? Hydroelectric, tides and oceans, geothermal, wind. And unfortunately, it looks pretty bleak if you look at those. There's just nothing that's a huge energy source, a huge potential energy source. The one that stands out, though, in their report is solar energy. So there's more solar energy striking the earth in 1 hour than we use in a year. So if we can tap just a portion of that potential source, we'll be able to solve our energy crisis. And one of the interesting things as well, solar energy requires a lot of land. And so these people published a study in the Journal of Energy Policy. How much land area would it actually use? What kind of area we're talking about? And what they came up with is, with current technology, it would be about West Virginia to power all of the U.S., all of our energy needs, transportation, commercial, housing, all of our energy needs would be about the area of West Virginia. And that sounds like a lot. West Virginia it's that green there, it's fairly large. But one of the interesting things is that's actually less land area than is currently used for the production of ethanol from corn. So we're already using that land area for energy. We're just using it maybe not in the best way that we could. The problem with solar, however, is it's still expensive. I don't have the money to put a solar panel on my roof. So what we're working at in our lab is a new generation of solar technology
technology, a new generation of solar cell. It even sounds really sciencey. They're called quantum dot solar cells. So this is kind of a new step away from the traditional silicon solar cells. And the reason it's really interesting, I think, is because they have potential to be much lower cost. So you can actually make these using, say, inkjet printing. You can make these using screen printing, the same way t-shirts are printed. So you can make these with technologies that already exist. They're easily scalable. You can use lower quality materials than traditional solar cells, so they're potentially much more cost effective. So let me give you, I guess, a brief look into the science of how do these things actually work. So the goal for any solar cell, you want electrons to flow around your circuit. And that's actually what powers your light bulb or your iPhone or whatever device you have. And so we get that the first step in the process is illumination. So we put it out in the sun. And that sun gives electrons in these materials extra energy. And then they can use that extra energy to travel around through this circuit, and then finally they regenerate and get back to where we started from. We can shine more light on it, get more electrons to flow through. So that's just basically how these solar cells work. And the problem is that using the current techniques that we use to make these, they tend to be multi-step, very time-intensive things, and the fabrication of one of these devices generally takes a few days. So Dr. Kamant came to our group and he asked the question, can we take this, what if we can make, using the same principles of our other solar cells, can we make something that's as simple as applying a coat of paint? So this is kind of the picture that he envisioned. What if we can take solar cell technology that's generally energy intensive, time intensive, and turn it into paint? So that was his challenge, obviously. He likes to come up with challenges, and we have to come up with solutions. So one of the solutions we had is we took, in this case, we made the paint, we coated titanium dioxide, which is it's a semiconductor, but it's the white pigment that's in everything from toothpaste to paint to powdered sugar donuts, anything that needs to be white, titanium dioxide. We took this white titanium dioxide, and then we coated it with different colored substances. We used, so here we made it red and we made it yellow. And actually by mixing these two different colors of paint, we can actually get a whole spectrum of different colors, which we thought was kind of cool. So we get all these different colors of paint, and then we can actually turn these into a solar cell in just 4 simple steps now. So we can take this paint, put it on our, what we call our optically transparent electrode. It's a clear, conductive electrode, just like the back window of your car where you can defrost the back window in the winter here in South Bend. So we put that on our electrode. We can apply it using something as simple as a paintbrush. Then we treat it with, down here with like a blow dryer, just to dry our paint. And what we're left with are our completed solar cells. So these are almost completed solar cells. So then to actually turn these electrodes into a solar cell, so we have, it takes 3 separate parts. So these, what we just made from our paint, are what we call our photoanodes. So this is what actually is absorbing the light and giving us energy. And then we have an electrolyte and a counter-electrode, which completes the cell and allows us to keep running the cell, keep doing this process the whole time. We take these 3 parts and sandwich them together. So we have, over here we have our photoanode and our paint. Here we have our liquid electrolyte, and here is our counter-electrode. So these are the 3 parts of our solar cell. Then to actually test these solar cells, see how they work, we have to use standard conditions. We can't just take them outside South Bend, because outside South Bend is a lot different than outside Austin, Texas, for instance. So what we use is we use AM 1.5 solar radiation, which is just simulating in the lab solar radiation here. It's at about 48 degrees. It's about, I think it's a little north of South Bend, actually. But a standard sunny day at 48 degrees latitude. And I'm just going to show you a quick video of actually assembling one of these cells and then testing it. So this is a video we developed in our lab. He's going to take...
First, several drops of electrolyte are placed on the counter electrode. Then the cell is sandwiched and held together using binding clips. The final step is to solder indium contacts on the working and counter electrodes. After connecting the cell to the potentiostat, we're ready to test it using our solar simulator. Using software, we can monitor the photocurrent response of our solar cell. Upon illumination, the quantum dots absorb light and generate charged carriers that then can be used to do useful work. In summary, we've created a simple yet effective device for harnessing solar energy.
So what you see here, so when he turned on the light, it's hard to see, but you see this huge jump. This is monitoring the current, so we can see as soon as we turn on the light, bam, all of a sudden we're getting power. So we took these paint cells and we wanted to characterize them. So the first thing we did is just the basic on-off characterization. How do these solar cells respond to light? So you can see when we turn on the light, all of a sudden we're getting current. As soon as we turn it off, no current. The next step, so for any solar cell, it works essentially the same as a battery, where you have, to get power, you have current and voltage. So we measured both the current and the voltage of these solar cells under light, and we can actually tell how efficient these then are. So that's these curves here. And then the last thing we want to do, we want to see how these respond to different colors of light. So different colors of light are different wavelengths. So 400 nanometers, that's blue light. 500 nanometers, that's green, that's the color of this laser pointer. So we can see where we're generating our power, what types of light we're most efficient under. And in this study, the best efficiency for one of our solar paint cells was 1% efficient. So we were really excited. This was a really interesting proof of concept that we could take one of our solar cells that generally takes days to make, and we can make it in a short amount of time in a paint, and we're 1% efficient. So we showed that we could make a solar cell and have it applied by a painting type technique in ambient conditions. We're not in any special clean room or special fabrication facilities. And we got a 1% efficient solar cell. Since then, we've been doing continued work, and we've actually doubled that. We can make a 2% solar cell. And that's compared to about 5% from our standard multi-step, time-intensive fabrication. So we're actually almost half as efficient as our multi-day approach, and we can make these in under an hour. So it represents a really important step in making these the fabrication much simpler. So currently what we're working on is understanding how these work so we can improve efficiencies further. 2% is still not commercializable. However, because these are so cheap, they don't need to be as efficient as, say, a silicon solar cell, because you can think of applications where you just want something. So, for instance, for painting the side of a house or something like that, it doesn't need to be as efficient if it can be very inexpensive. And we're also focusing on removing the liquid electrolyte, making these all solid. So last, I wanted to thank the people who actually did this work, especially Matt Genovese and Robin Munjevic. They were actually undergraduates that were working in our lab, and they did the majority of this work. So it just shows that, you don't need to be a graduate student to really get involved in the research side as well as the final commercialization side. So I just wanted to thank you for your attention. Thank you.